Okay, we guys put your phones away, get your assignments out so we can get started. Yeah. I'm sorry, what? Yeah. So what we're going to do today is we're going to spend the first half of class going through some of the problems that you guys were supposed to do yesterday, just to make sure that you're on the right track. And then we are going to tackle the second half of this section, this exciting topic of solving radical equations. The second half involves two things, one which is a little bit painful and one which is challenging. So the second part I'm not going to require you to learn. It'll just be like an extra credit if you can. Yeah, you have extra credit today. Yeah. So banana, take it away. Yeah. Okay. Okay, everybody get 16 for that one? Okay. If you didn't, we're going to do a few of these as just a little warm up, and then we'll skip over some and get to the, yeah. I like, I like your thinking. Colby, how'd you do number 10? What do we do first? How about let's get rid of the, excuse me, -1 first. Okay, so if I add 1 to both sides, that gives me that. And then we're not going to subtract 4 because what's the 4 doing to the square root? Well, it's multiplying. So to get rid of that, you have to divide, okay? So then those cancel. So square root of x equals 1. So then if you square both sides, Colby, x equals 1. Yep. Okay. Everybody get 1 for number 10? Okay. Okay, Abby, how about number 11? What did you do with that? No, ma'am. The 3 is underneath the square root, so you can't, right, so you square both sides right off the bat. The root is already by itself. Now we subtract 3, so you get x equals 22, okay? All right. Okay, did anybody have questions on just 12 through 17 that you need me to go through with you? Like Anna said, those are pretty straightforward. So let's jump ahead to the juicier stuff unless you have, we good on those? Okay. All right, so let's try number 18 now. So now we get into the situation where we have some fractional exponents. So Alexandria, what power would I raise both sides to on number 18 to get rid of that 2/3 exponent? Good, so I would raise both sides to the 3/2 power. So 2/3 to the 3/2, those cancel each other out and just give you x plus 5. What is, Alexandria, the 4 to the 3/2? So we're going to do the square root of 4 first. What's the square root of 4? 2. And then 2 to the 3rd is 2 to the 3rd is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. So if x plus 5 equals 8, then x equals 3. Okay, now I'm not going to call myself a liar here, but there is a little piece that I accidentally left out. And that is, when I asked Alexandria what the square root of 4 is, she said 2. Right, but it could also be -2, okay? So if this was -2, then -2 to the third power would equal -8, and then when I subtract 5, I would get x equals -13. So that one actually has 2 answers, okay? Yes, and you can add this into the steps in your notes. I'm going to say this is step 2B, 2C. The second answer, yeah. If the number on top of the exponent is even, there will be 2 answers. Okay? So when we first did this problem, the very first one, so since that started out as x plus 5 to the 2/3, since the 2 was even, that's going to give us 2 answers. Okay? Jessica? Nope. If the top number is odd, there's only one answer. Okay? All right. So I'm not going to change the thing, but I was going to do the next problem. Right, exactly. So that's why I'm trying to give you these step-by-step thingies. So you can look at this and you can say, since this is to the 2/3, this is going to have 2 answers. Okay? All right, so let's keep that in mind while we go through this one, see if we can find both of them. Chris, what do you do first on number 19? So I have x plus 2 to the 2/3 power equals 9. Okay, good. I'm going to raise both sides to the 3/2 power. So that gives me x plus 2 equals, so here's where the 2 answers come in. What's the square root of 9? 3. And what's 3 cubed? 27. So if I do that, and x plus 2 equals 27, then I know that x equals 25. Okay? Hang on just one second, Callista. However, the square root of 9 could also be -3, and then -3 to the third power is -27. So if x plus 2 equals -27, yep, then x equals -29. What's up? No, you don't have to. This is like on a learn and understand level. Okay? All right? Does that make sense how that happens? Because when you're square rooting, you really get a plus or a minus. So each one of those will give you a different answer. Okay? Yeah. No. Whenever there's problems like these, and if the number on top of the exponent is even, then there'll be 2 answers. Okay? But if we take a look at number 20, this is 3 times x minus 2 to the 3/4. So since the top number is odd, Peyton, there's only going to be 1 answer. Okay? If the top number is even. Right, when it's in its original form, yes, before it has evolved into its Pokemon. Yeah. You know, I got to tell you a funny story. I've been learning Italian, okay, because we're going to Italy for spring break. So it's that online Duolingo thing, and it like tells you sentences. And some of the sentences crack me up. It's like, that shark is mine. I'm like, when would anybody ever say that? But now I have in my real life a time when someone has said to me, why is my bear so ugly? It just comes up random. I can give you a code where you can get online and you can change it. Yes. But I'm going to wait until after I give you guys the assignment. I'm not going to interrupt class for that. Okay. You can change your, what are they called? No, what is it called? Avatar. You can change your avatar. Okay, Andrea, shh, go. I am going to divide it by 3. It's as if she can see the future. She knew what I was going to do before I even did it. Shh. Okay, then I'm going to raise both sides to the 4/3 power. So those cancel. So x minus 2 equals, the cube root of 8 is 2. And the cube root of 8 is 2, not negative 2. So that's why this only will have one answer. Okay? Then 2 to the 4th is 16. So then what do you do, Andrea, to finish? And then you add 2, so x equals 18. Okay? All right, are we doing okay with this? You want to go through the last 3 too, just for funnies? No? We can do do you guys need to talk about the word problems at all? Okay. 23? Okay. 23? Oh, because the x is backwards? Okay. So for 23, we're going 3 plus 4 minus x to the 3/2 equals 11. All right, what's my first move? Minus 3 from both sides, because I need to get the root by itself. And then how do I get rid of the, okay, raise it to the reciprocal power. So then 4 minus x equals cube root of 8 is, cube root of 8 is 2, and then 2 squared is 4. All right, so now we're on step 3, solve the old-fashioned way. So I'm just trying to get the x by itself, so what do I do first? I subtract 4, and it's a little bit weird. It's like on the quiz when this came out to be 0, but sometimes the answer just is 0. If negative x equals 0, then that means x equals 0. Because if I take away this x here, 4 to the 3/2 is 8, and 3 plus 8 is 11. So it works. Okay? Why is my bear so ugly? Perché è mi orso? I don't know ugly. No, I don't have an accent. Sometimes you have to say it, and then it listens, and then it tells you whether you did it right. And I'm like, really? That was good enough for you? It's really bad. Okay, so couple problems where you might, air quotes, use this. Let's say that you were designing a water tank, maybe like this is a lot of water, so maybe it's like a water tower for your town or something, and you know that it needs to hold 9,000 cubic feet of water, and then you got to figure out for the engineering department how big a tank should you make. Well, to figure out the diameter of that tank, you go the cube root of 6 times the volume of water that you want to hold in there divided by pi. Okay, so this is a straight up calculator problem. 6 times 9,000 is 5,400. You're right, it's 54,000 divided by pi. And then if you take the cube root of that, you get 25.81 feet. So you would tell the city engineering department that the diameter of the water tank that you're building should be about 26 feet. Okay? All right, let's say once again you're working for the water department. This time you have to put some piping in somewhere, I don't know where, and you want the maximum flow of the water to be 30 cubic feet per minute, and you want the regular flow to be 400 feet per minute. And so again, you need to figure out what the diameter of the pipe is that you need to satisfy these constraints. The only thing with this one that you need to be careful of, which is a lesson that you should know for all eternity, and that is that if you're dividing by two numbers on a calculator, you need to put those numbers in parentheses, because if you don't, it will just divide by the first one and then multiply by the second. Okay, and then you take the square root, and if you do that, you get 0.3. Okay, thanks. 0.309. What are my units? Feet, because these are given in feet. What do I want my answer to be in? Inches. How do I change feet into inches? You multiply by 12, and so that gives about a 4-inch pipe. Okay, it says to the nearest inch, so you know. All right. Okay, I'll come around and grab. Going to learn today is what your homework assignment will be on, and then I'm going to show you one example of some next level stuff here, and I'm going to give you some extra credit problems that you could do that involve those. Okay? Yeah. No, we're still solving radical equations. Okay, so what's new about today? Right, so, okay, so what's new about today, the only thing that's new about today, the steps are the same, okay? It's just when we get to step 3 where it says solve the old-fashioned way, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but it's still something that you have already learned and you should know how to do. Yes. So, thanks, man. Okay. So what you could put in your notes is if there's a variable on both sides. So what's new today is this part on the, hold on a second, this part on the left is the same, but instead of equaling a number, this is equaling a variable. So there's a variable on this side and a variable on the other side. So what, okay, so I'm going to, oh, okay. Okay, so radical equations with a variable on both sides. Yeah, okay. You don't like the title? You're going to be an English teacher and mark me down just because you don't like it? Just because it's your opinion and I get a C because of that?
I'm giving you an F for that title.
All right, thanks, Josh. All right, so, oh my Lord. So the steps are the same, yes. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the root by itself. How do I do that? I add 5 to both sides. Is that what you were wanting to tell me? But we can't. Yeah, so I'm going to do the same thing I did before, which is get the root by itself. Yes. Okay, then I'm going to square both sides, same as the steps we were working on yesterday. Here's where things begin to get just a little bit dicey though, okay? The square root of x plus 7 squared is, you know, x plus 7. Because the square root and the squared just cancel each other out, and you're just left with x plus 7. The problem with this is that x plus 5 squared does not equal x squared plus 25. And there are lots of you that would like to write it like that, but if you do that, you're forgetting that if I go x plus 5 times x plus 5, I have to go first times first is x squared, outside is 5x, inside is 5x, last times last is 25. So when I combine these like terms, then there's a 10x hiding in the middle, okay? So since we're going to do that a lot, I want to just really quickly practice with you guys how to get this, because there's a shortcut where you don't have to FOIL, okay? This number right here is just this number times 2, okay? And that's how it's always going to be. So for example, if I asked you, what is x plus 2 squared? You would say it is going to be x squared plus 4x plus 4. So it's the first thing squared. It's the second thing squared. And then the middle term is this number doubled. Okay? Sure. So this is like separate. Callista, that's your job. To yell at me like she did and say, write that down. Remember we talked yesterday and you're like, I need the steps. You got to be aggressive. Be aggressive. So it's the first term squared. It's the second number doubled. And then it's the number okay, you're right. The second number doubled times x. No. Boiled peanuts. What? They boiled it in water. Yeah. No. No, not quite. But randomly, first period, he said, Mr. Aldrich, have you ever had boiled peanuts? And I said, no. And he said, would you like some? And I said, sure. So let's practice these, okay? So what would x minus 3 squared be? Minus 6x, because it's doubled, plus 9, okay? First number squared, second number doubled, and then second number squared. Yep.
So second number double itself. First term squared.
And then the second number squared. It's terrible. Okay, what is x plus 4 squared? X squared plus 8x plus 16. Good. Okay. First number squared. Second number doubled. Last number squared. Yeah. Okay. What is x minus 5 squared?
X squared.
Plus 25. Good. X minus 5 squared is x squared minus 10x plus 25. You guys see the pattern? First number squared, double the number, second number squared. Okay? So last one. Okay, good. X squared plus 12x plus 36. All right. So back to this. So that gave us this right here. First number squared, then you double it, and then you square the last one. So now we just need to solve this the old-fashioned way. Right. The problem is the ones that we were doing yesterday we could solve just by like subtracting and dividing. These are x squared ones. So we're going to have to solve these by setting them equal to 0 and factoring. Yeah. So first thing that you do, Amy said subtract x from both sides. So that gives you 7 equals x squared plus 9x plus 25. And then I subtract 7 from the 25. And so that gives me 0 equals x squared plus 9x plus 18. Okay? So now to solve this, it's not that bad. I have to factor. So I need to come up with two numbers that multiply together to be 18 and add to be 9. And those are 3 and 6. Okay? 3 times 6 is 18. 3 plus 6 is 9. Yeah. So then my final answers are -3 and -6. Okay? Yes, it's the opposite. Yeah. What about what? I'm not giving you those in this case. No, I'll show you the harder one in just a second. You don't want to hurt your brain? You don't want to get confusion? Yeah, that's terrible. Sorry, Jimmy. That's gross. Are you you good? You good? He's from the South, and he said that they eat them in the South. Yeah. This one? I went 10x minus x is 9x. Okay? All right, let's try one more of those. And then I will cut you guys loose. Yeah. All right, so the steps are the same. First step is get the root by itself. So how do I do that? -3. So square root of 5x minus 1 equals x minus 3. Then I square both sides. So this squared makes the square root just cancel. So it's 5x minus 1. Okay, hold on. We just talked about doing this next step very quickly. What do I get? Minus 6x, this number doubled, plus 9. Okay? First thing squared, second number doubled times x, second number squared. Okay? Okay, then I need to again set this equal to 0 in order to solve. So I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. Yep, you could technically add 1 first. That order doesn't matter. Good question. So now I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So that gives me x squared minus 11x plus 10. So then I need to factor that. So I'm looking for two things that multiply together to be positive 10 and add to be negative 11. And those are negative 10 and negative 1. So yes, Sage, that means my two answers are the opposite. Okay? Since it was negative 10 and negative 1, 10 and 1. Yeah, I was going to show you guys something a little bit more complex, but we're out of time, so maybe if we have time we can take a look at that tomorrow. No. Yeah, we didn't get to that.